Hey there, welcome back to another video. I know I told you in the last video I was going to break down and show you exactly how much we spend on Christmas as a minimalist family, but unfortunately I can't do that because I didn't get my budget done in time. But I didn't want to leave you hanging even though I haven't finished my budget yet. So in the meantime, I decided to create this video on how to budget for Christmas without going into debt. And I'm going to show you the exact steps that we are taking in creating our Christmas budget. But if you would still like to see the numbers we have for our budget this year, leave me a comment down below and I will try to get that video done for you as soon as possible. But for now, let's get started on how to create your own Christmas budget. Everyone knows of Christmas as a time for giving, but unfortunately, Christmas can also be a time for overspending, extravagance, and going into debt. It has become so ingrained in us that we need to buy everyone everything that their little heart desires that we don't even stop to think about if we can afford it or not. But I disagree with this practice. As someone who has been in debt and is now out of it, I can tell you that there's nothing better than living within your means. And I think this applies to Christmas time as well as the rest of the year. So let's get into the details for how to create a realistic Christmas budget for your family without going into debt, but also without missing out on any of the holiday fun. If you're new to my channel, I'm Kassy with makingtimeforgiggles.com, and I make videos all about making mom life simple. So be sure to subscribe down below if you'd like to see more videos like this one. The first step you want to take is deciding how much you can afford to spend on Christmas. This is where most people make a mistake when it comes to budgeting for Christmas. They start buying first, and they don't look at their budget until after they've already spent too much or committed to spending too much money. If you start by looking at your finances first and coming up with a realistic amount of money that you can afford to spend, it will keep you from spending too much down the road. A lot of parents don't want to look at their finances first because they worry that their kids will feel left out if they receive less than their friends do. But honestly, it's just part of life. I mean, there are so many times in life when it's not fair. And the sooner that kids can start wrapping their heads around this concept, the better. If your kids do wonder why other kids receive more gifts than they do, have a talk with them about money. Show them that everything in life costs money, and every family chooses differently how they are going to spend the money that they have. So before you do anything else, decide on a total number that you are going to spend on Christmas and stick with that number no matter how awesome that cool new toy is. The second thing you want to do when creating your Christmas budget is start saving as early as you can. The earlier you can start saving, the better prepared you will be to purchase everything on your list without going into debt. One way to plan for Christmas all year round and be able to spend a little bit more money if you want to is to have a Christmas bank account. I go into more detail about the Christmas bank account in this video right here, but basically what you would do is decide how much money you want to spend on Christmas that year and divide it into 12 monthly payments that you put into the bank account. Then when Christmas comes, all of your money is already saved up and ready to use. This works really well if you have a large family and you want to buy a lot of gifts. Obviously, you don't have to have a Christmas bank account to start saving early, but the sooner you start preparing for Christmas, the easier it will be to handle all the extra expenses that come with the holidays. The third thing to do when creating your Christmas budget is start with your immediate family. When we look at how much we want to spend on Christmas, we always start by looking at how much we want to spend on our children and on each other. We haven't always done this, and then there were a few Christmases when Ross and I didn't buy anything for each other because we had already spent our Christmas budget buying for everyone else. Now we always look at our family first before we even think about spending anything extra. The fourth thing you'll want to do is make your lists. Now is the part where you want to decide how much money you're going to spend on each child. If you want to see how we make our lists for our kids, I go into a lot of detail about that in this video here if you want to check that out. But one thing I did want to mention from a budgeting perspective when making your lists and deciding how much to spend on each child is that you don't have to spend the same amount of money on each child every year. In fact, I don't think I have ever spent the exact same amount of money on each child. And that's because we base our list off of a lot of different things. And one of the things is their needs. So when one of our kids has more needs that year, we will buy them more things for Christmas. So it tends to go back and forth between the years. Last year, our younger daughter got more gifts because she was about 18 months old and she had basically been using a lot of her sister's old toys and she needed some toys that were her own, like her own special doll and things like that. So she ended up getting more last year than our older daughter did. This year, our older daughter needs more things, so she will be getting more under the tree than the younger daughter will. And we just don't see too much of a point of spending extra money on one child just to make it even so that they get the same amount of money spent on them. Because honestly, kids don't really care as long as they're getting some things that they really love and really need. They aren't going to care if you spent $20 more or even $50 more on one child, as long as their things are special to them. Now, if you want a really easy rule of thumb for making your lists for your kids, we really like the want, need, wear, read rule, where you get each child something they want, something they need, something they can wear, and something they can read. Again, we follow this loosely. They don't always need all 4 of those things. Sometimes they don't need any new clothes, and sometimes they have several needs that we're going to get them all at once. But it's a nice thing to remember as you're creating their lists. Now, once you have their list solidified and you know what you want them to receive for Christmas, this is a great time to talk to the grandparents. Grandparents almost always want to give their grandkids something for Christmas, and when you can give them great ideas that you know your kids will love, it is even better. And this will help you save some money because you won't have to buy everything on their list yourself. Like I said in last week's video, almost as soon as I get my list figured out for the kids, I give my mom a call and ask her if she would like to get any of the things on the list for them. And it works great for us because it saves me money, and it also lets her know that I will approve of everything that she is getting the kids. And the last thing to do when creating your Christmas budget is to decide on extended family gifts. And I say decide because you don't actually have to exchange gifts with all of your extended family if you don't want to, or if you can't afford it, or if you're trying to get out of debt. Especially if you truly can't afford to buy gifts for your extended family, don't feel bad about changing what you have done in the past. Before we had children, back when we had 2 incomes coming into the house, we exchanged gifts with both sides of our extended family every year. But when we became a single income family after we had our kids, we told our families we couldn't do that anymore. And we decided to only exchange extended family gifts with the family that we were spending Christmas with that year. If you still really want to exchange gifts with your extended family but can't afford to give gifts to everyone, you can always suggest drawing names. Drawing names is a great option if you are short on money because it allows you to buy one person something a little bit nicer. And it also allows you to receive a nicer gift instead of receiving a lot of little things that you may or may not have wanted. This is actually how we have done gifts with our extended family since we got married, and we were doing gifts on both sides of the family. We would just draw names for both sides. And now that we only do gifts for one side of the family, we just draw names for the side of the family that we're spending that holiday with. Even with drawing names, there are so many different ways that you can arrange this so that you can spend less money or more money depending on your budget. So don't be afraid to play around with it or throw out different ideas with your family if you feel like this would work really well for you. Now, if you feel like after watching this video that you are a little late to the savings game and you're not going to be able to afford the amazing Christmas you had hoped for, there are a couple things you can do. You can always sell some things. You could go through your house or your garage and find some things that you haven't been using and see if you could sell them on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. We love doing this if we need to earn any extra cash, and it's a great way to get some Christmas money if you don't have it saved up already. Another thing you can do is cut down on the amount of gifts that you'll be giving your kids. I much prefer to give my kids 1 or 2 really nice gifts than several gifts that are just okay. This helps you bring less clutter into your house, and it also saves you money at the same time. And the third thing you can do is cut down on the amount of people that you are buying for. So if you have always exchanged gifts with all of your extended family, see if you can draw names or cut out giving for extended family this year altogether. The best gift you can give yourself for Christmas is to stick to your budget and not go into debt. I hope you found this video helpful for creating your Christmas budget. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did so more people can find it. And if you do want to see our breakdown for how much money we are spending on Christmas, be sure to leave me a comment down below and I will try to get that out to you as soon as possible. Again, I'm Kassy with MakingTimeForGiggles.com. I make videos about making mom life simple, and I would love to see you on the next one.